For your Capstone Part 3, if you go to your Capstone projects down here, and then you select Part 3, there's a nice document, and I would really suggest reading through it. But essentially what you're going to be doing in this one is you're going to be combining the 6 edited images that you created in part 2 with the Polaroid, and then adding them onto this type of wish map that's in a single photo P layer. So it's going to be one project. So it's going to be one PSD file, and if you read through this, he does a good job of showing you how to download these assets, but I'll do it now as well. And I'll do a quick example of using it with 6 Polaroid cards. So for this Capstone project, what we can do is let me look up another image of Ireland really quick. Sorry, everyone's going to be sick of it at this rate. But let me download one really quickly. And I can use this for my Capstone here. Just as a quick example, let me file and open up this guy. Go to Ireland. Nice. So let's just say that I edited this image in part 1. And what I'm going to do now is edit my canvas size. And this is what we do in Capstone part 2, if you remember. So let me make this with 2200. And let me make the height maybe 1700. And then I'm just going to go ahead and drag this guy up to the top. And then layer, new fill layer. And if I'm going a bit fast, I apologize. But this is what we are doing in Capstone part 2. So let me add this here. Go drag it to the bottom. Great. And now, let me add in my text that this says Ireland. So again, this one looks a little, it's not the best or anything like that, but this is just a quick example of what you will have for your Capstone for part 2. So let's just say I did this 6 more times, and I have all 6 of them there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to save it as a PSD, and now I have my PSD here. So what I will do now is I can go ahead and open up a few more things for our Capstone part 2. So again, what we're trying to do is you're entering it, for Capstone part 3, you have your 6 edited images here, and you want to go ahead and try to make a wish map out of them. So again, you can see here, we have our little wish map that is created here. And what I'll do to fix up this wish map is, let me go ahead really quickly, and you don't have to do this. Remember that everyone will have their own Polaroid card. You'll have 6 different ones, but because I'm just doing this now, I'm going to go ahead and copy the same one 6 times. But make sure you don't do that for the final project. Make sure that you have 6 different ones to work with. And what I'll do really quickly is I'm just going to make my canvas a lot bigger than it normally is. Let me say, let's try 7,000. Let's try, this might be very big, but that's fine too. I'm going to fit the area. And now I have this really big canvas, and I have my 3 images to work with, right? And I can go to my edits, free transform while my image is selected. And I go ahead and make this a bit smaller. And now I have this big canvas. And what I'm going to do really quickly is just duplicate this layer very quickly to be 6. And of course, you'll be doing this with your 6 edited images that became Polaroid cards that you did in Capstone Part 2. So again, please don't try to copy it or anything. I'll notice I'm just being a bit quick about it because this is just a tutorial. But again, please make sure that you don't do this identically. Great. So let's just say that I did this like you guys didn't. I had my 6 different images. What I need to do now is figure out a way to get it to be hanging onto these kind of layers and stuff like that as well with my clothespins. And the way that we can do that is if we go into our Moodle homepage, excuse me, to DM140, and inside of content, you'll notice that there's an area called student files for class projects and capstone projects. So I'm going to select that one. And you'll see that there's initial files, this is what we worked with before, and project 4. But now you have this option here too called assets for Capstone projects. So there's a lot of things we can work with. There's a background that we can work with as well. This one looks pretty cool, so I'm going to download this background. And then there's a clips, pins, and stickers. And these are all big PSD files full of push pins and type of like needles and stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download 2 of them for us to work with here. So let me download the clips and binders. And let me download the rope and clothespins. Let's just do the 16.9 one. What I'll do now is open these guys up here. So file open. Let me open up my clothespins. And you'll notice now that I do have this type of rope. There's 2 options here with the rope and clothespins. But how about I just use my rope really quickly to get started? So what I'll do now is with my rope highlighted, I'll drag my layer over to my Arlen PSD, which has all of my images here. And it seems like my image canvas is a bit big. So let me go to edit and free transform on this rope. Let me just make it a bit bigger here. Because it is a PSD file, the quality won't change too much. And I can free transform it to be not as like taut across. So I can kind of make it a bit more lean like this one. And then that looks pretty good. So I'm going to hit OK. And then what I'm going to do is right click and duplicate the rope. Use my move on the rope copy and just drag this one down here. So let me drag it a bit further down. And actually let me move this guy up a bit more. And now I have my images here to work with. But you'll notice that I'm missing the clothespins that were on the rope too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hide the rope. And what I'll do now is using the same method, I'm going to drag my clothespins over to my Arlen PSD file. So now with my Arlen PSD file, with the clothespins inside of my file over here, we can do the selection methods that we worked with all that time ago. So there was a point to be learning all those, right? I'm going to use my lasso select, and I'm just going to go ahead and try and select this clothespin that's right here. And then what I'm going to do is use my move tool after it's selected, and I can just move my clothespins to be over here. And then I can do my edit, free transform, and I can rotate this guy a little bit so it looks a bit like it's on an angle. And then of course the issue arises here is where should my my copy, or where should my card go, right? Well, I have a lot of them, so let me just really quickly figure out which ones are which. Which guy is this one? Sorry, everyone. I should have named these a bit better. So naming conventions do help as well. There it is. So it seems like there's 2 of them over here. Let me delete one of the extra ones. Is this one? Awesome. So now I have this clothespin. But you see, if you see here, my image should be on the rope. But it shouldn't be above the clothespin. What I mean by that is that I shouldn't have my picture be behind my rope, but it should be kind of looking like it's attached to the clothespin. So to do that, I'm going to drag my background to be above my rope here, but to be behind my clothespin. So my layer organization makes a very big difference too. And then after I do this, I'm going to go selecting my copy here. Where is it? Right here, this guy. I'm going to call him top left just for my sake. With him selected, I'm going to go to my edit and free transform. Is it easy? Is it easy? Edit and free transform. And I'm just going to rotate him a bit to the left here, make him a tiny bit smaller. And now you'll notice that I have my kind of, in a good way, my own little version of the kind of wish maps that he had here. So you're going to have 6 different ones. But as you can see, I used the clothespin and the rope in order to have this effect there. So now I have one of them. And of course, I won't go through all of them. But essentially what you'll do is you'll repeat the process. So let's just say you don't want to use the same pins and stuff. How would you go about getting the other options? Well, let's go to File and Open. And inside of my downloads, I have my clips and binder clips. And these are all up to grab, so anyone can use whatever you'd like of these. And all you would do is after you do a selection of them, what you could do is maybe let's try getting this blue pin here, like this one. I'm going to hit the select option. See if I can move him. Nope, not just yet. What I'll do after I have him selected, I can go to Edit, Copy, and then I can go into my Arlen PSD, and I can go to Edit and Paste. And now you'll notice I have a new layer here, and I can move this guy around. I can use the Edit Free Transform. I can make him a bit smaller or bigger, but I kind of want him to be in the same area here as this guy. I'm going to hit OK on this one. And again, oops, not that one. I'm going to try to find the background image that is in the middle. So this guy's in the middle, top middle. And I'm going to drag this guy into behind a rope. But again, the issue arises that I don't want it to be behind the rope, but I want it to be behind the pin. So I can just drag my top middle underneath my top left. And the same thing arises there, right? So I have my layer 1, drag him down a little bit. And now I have my nice little wish map that I can change around and stuff as well. And again, this copy and pasting will work for any of these. And you have a ton of stuff to work from as well. So you have push pins that you can work with too. If I put those in there and I select them. And again, the background is transparent, so you can use whatever you'd like. You can do deselection. You can highlight a red pin. You can go to Edit, Copy, and then Edit, Paste. And now I have my nice little pin inside of my capstone, so I can maybe put a pin in my next one so that it's like pinned to the rope and make it look pretty cool. But essentially, you can do whatever you like with these. And one more thing is that you'll notice that we need a background for the end. So very quickly, let's just say that I'm not done just yet, but let's just say I'm trying to add a background. I could go into, excuse me, inside of the student files for class capstone projects. There's a folder here called background, and I'm just going to go ahead and pick, let's say, Dominican Republic. I think I had a different one too, and this one is probably the easiest portion to do. You're just going to drag this Dominican Republic in there. It seems like this one is pretty small, and the quality might be a bit rough if I drag it out, but I'm just going to drag it up the full length. It's fine if it doesn't work perfectly. You notice it looks a bit messy, but remember that the background is going to be your bottommost layer. And also, because Photopea is an online resource, the more you add to it, it might get a bit more laggy or anything. But if I drag my background to the bottom, you'll notice that everything's above it, and I have this nice background to work with too. And as you keep adding and manipulating it, you'll see that eventually you can get to this type of blur. So let's just say I also wanted to add a blur into my background. Let me very quickly hide everything here. It's probably an easier way to do that. But if I go to my selection, and just like normal, I can select everything that I want to blur. I can select all this stuff. I could go to Filter, Blur, Gaussian Blur. And this is going to take a while to do. But of course, when it's loading, I can make this, I think 7.2 is fine. I can make the background a bit blurry, hit OK. And then I can put stuff back over it again like normal. Excuse me. And then I can go ahead and manipulate the layers like that. Awesome. And so there's one more thing I want to show off when you're working on this that might be helpful. Excuse me. And that is folders. So you can make a folder if you go to the very bottom of your Photopea. Excuse me, sorry. At the bottom down here, you'll notice that you have a few options such as link layers, effects, new adjustment layer, and a raster mask. There's a bunch of these things that you can work with. One that we can look at is called new folder. So if I hit new folder, this is not going to do anything depending on where you put it, but it's a folder, and what you could do actually is put items together that are in it. So let's just say, let me try to find the top image again really quickly. So this guy is my top right, and what I can do is I can call my folder top pictures, and I can actually drag each of these items into my folder up here. So some of you might have used a folder before, some of you might have not, it's fine. But the point of a folder is that I can organize stuff a lot easier. And if everyone noticed there, I had to go ahead and hide a bunch of stuff at once. What's the benefit of having everything in a folder? Well, I have my top pictures in this folder here. If I hit the I, it will actually remove and hide all these same images that are in the folder. So I could even do top pictures and a rope and pins if you want to get really fancy. And I can go ahead and just drag my rope into there. And of course, the organization is specific to the folder. So I need to put my layer 1 in there, and then I need to put my layer 2, which are the pins that I worked with before, if you remember. And if you see here, my layer 2, which is this blue pen, or excuse me, my layer 1, which is this blue thing, is behind a rope. So even though it's in its own folder, the ordering still matters. So I need to put this above the rope, but behind above that one too. So that'll be good. Awesome. So again, I can hold it. I can hide the entire folder and it won't make a difference there. But this is just another thing that you can use to help with your Capstone project part 3. So again, you'll have 6 different images that are Polaroids, as fancy as you'd like them. You can use a bunch of stuff, but I am expecting, mine's a little boring, but I am expecting some stuff like this, get creative with it. Any questions, let me know. Make sure you have fun with it too. You can get really interesting and creative work with it. You can combine the background image if you'd like. You can add on a bunch of filters. It's definitely up to you what you'd like to do, but just let me know if you have any questions while doing it.